Hello YouTube, Jumpy23 here. Welcome back to my FE8 0% LTC, and today we have Chapter 14. At this point in the run, my investment decisions and units have diverged so much from Kibi's that I have to make an original strategy for basically every map. So everything's going to be new from here, but thank you Kibi for all the things I've stolen so far. And graded stick too, although mostly Kibi. Chapter 14 is a long seas map, and it's rightly considered one of the hardest maps in FE8. You just saw me undeploy Seth and Duessel and then redeploy them, so as you've probably guessed, yes, this map has status staves, and unlike last time, we actually need to dodge at least some of them. There are 2 Berserk Druids with 20 magic, so extremely high hit rates, and Silence and Sleep Bishops with 14 magic. On the left hand side, I have Restore, but I will need to dodge 3 staves on the right. This map will tear through the Pure Waters I bought earlier. Speaking of left and right, oh yeah, this map has got split deployment. We'll need a competent team on each side, because there's an Angelic Robe in the top left corner which will save a turn later, and Ephraim starts on the right. Recruiting Renak requires me to deploy La Rochelle as well, so that's a pretty wasted deployment slot. The cherry on top is Vigard, the worst boss in FE8, with 62 avoid and substantial crit and defense. Playing casually, his throne room has brutal reinforcements too, but at least those don't matter to us since we go too fast. In preps, Ephraim finally yields to his Dracoshield addiction after abstaining in the previous chapter, and Cormag takes the energy ring, Speedwing, and goddess icon from chapter 13. Nobody takes the talisman yet. Eventually it will go to Cormag, but he can't eat it until later because of an AI manip in a future chapter. The side objectives on this map are the aforementioned Angelic Robe chest and Renak recruitment, as well as the Hammerne and Guiding Ring chests in the bottom room. We're also back to our regularly scheduled staff grinding with Natasha and Moulder, and Cormag needs to hit S lances ASAP to help his hit rates against Vigard. I forgot to mention this before, but Gerik also wants C axes before chapter 15 for a big reliability boost. He got most of the way there last map already, so this isn't too hard. I hate rearranging units on this deployment screen because you have to scroll past this big empty space to swap units between the groups. Duessel is the first to drink a pure water as he will need to dodge a Berserk on turn 3. This is like the one use of the Silver Axe all playthrough. Duessel's about to get a much more powerful tool to play with. And Cormag will dodge a Berserk on turn 2, so he takes the Pure Water and chugs it. I also need Cormag to have a full inventory on this enemy phase. Moulder needs to stand at least this far forward so that he can mend Seth next turn. However, we need Natasha to be holding the barrier at the end of this turn. So Moulder can't just barrier Natasha after Natasha barriers Seth. Fortunately, we can just barely get away with putting Joshua right where he stands as well. This is where I use the 2-use javelin I mentioned last chapter. Seth is going to enemy phase 4 mercs and merms and needs to crit at least half of them. So he wants to have a killer weapon equipped, but he also wants to stand on this tile. Weapon breaks give us the best of both worlds. La Rochelle is the last member of the Pure Water gang. She'll be targeted by a silence next turn. Seth critting specifically this Armor Slayer Merc is not strictly necessary, but it does improve reliability, since otherwise Seth would have to use worse weapons against knights later. Cormag first fights 2 soldiers, then he'll fight a Sword Reaver fighter, so he equips a Steel Lance against these enemies to get more weapon rank. Then he uses the dropped Sword Reaver to switch to a Javelin for the Hand Axe fighter. Cormag also needs a 1-use weapon of any description for chapter 16. 1-use javelins are so easy to set up that I wasn't sweating it, but this Steel Lance is convenient, so we'll use it. I need Cormag to kill all but one of these fighters with a javelin, and Seth to crit at least 2 of the sorties with his killer lance. Because Seth crit an extra dude on enemy phase, there's one less enemy to take care of up here, so Duessel can engage this knight early. He needs to get hit by this knight at some point to give Moulder an extra mint target on turn 3. Joshua, even in Chapter 14, can handle enemies with his Chapter 5 bases. Props to him. He does need to chew through the Silver Sword because they're so fat, and that's why Natasha traded it up there. Seth dodging this specific knight is not required, but he does need to do a good bit of dodging over the next couple of turns in general, so I may as well get what I can on player phase. Ephraim has to do even less dodging than Seth, especially thanks to the Dracoshield, but I rig him a miss here with the same logic. Regan Leaf is such a good weapon, gonna say it every time. Actual La Rochelle contributions, everybody. She's able to heal up Cormag on this map. Not even just this once, she'll fucking do it again. Gerik has the extremely important duty of blocking a soldier from Tethys. A fitting role for someone with his base stats. So, I honestly prefer it from a game design perspective when certain weapon types don't have effective weaponry on certain enemy types. So like, no Zanbato, no Heavy Spear, no Dragon Axe. But I'm grateful to have the Heavy Spear on this map, so I guess I'm a hypocrite. Forde has to crit this guy so that he doesn't harass Natasha later. He doubles at least, so the odds are decent. Because he has the 4-use Killing Edge equipped, he actually had to crit first try, so that other fighters wouldn't target him because his weapon looked broken. But I could have just given him the 20-use Killing Edge instead if I wanted. Ephraim will die if all 4 enemies hit him right here, but the odds of that are low. Without the Dracoshield, he would die in 3 hits, which is a lot more likely. Here is another La Rochelle contribution. The bishop could kill Ephraim right now, but he'll always use silence if there's a target in range. At first I thought she could just get hit by silence, but she actually can't talk to her knack while silenced, so she needs to dodge. The good news is the staff only has 16 hit, although status staff hit is 1 RN. But status staff hit being 1 RN helps us with Cormag dodging this berserk. These druids have way too much magic. Natasha is forced to restore Seth because he got hit. If he had dodged the berserk and the sleep, she could have mended instead to improve his reliability on the next few turns. It's a damn good thing that this bishop drops an item because Seth needs to crit him, but he needs an armor slayer on enemy phase so the knights don't block him next turn. If he didn't drop that shine, we would have had to like set up a 1-use Killing Edge. Duessel does not need to get hit on this turn, because next turn, Moulder can use Unlock on the door. Cormag hits S Lances right here, and that's just in time. He's going to engage Vigard on turn 4 enemy phase, and he really needs the hit. Duessel shows his might yet again by 1-rounding a promoted enemy with a hand axe. And I could have given him a javelin to increase his hit on this Myrmidon, but I just wanted to show off how powerful the hatchet is yet again. On this enemy phase, Seth needs to dodge one of 3 attacks, and Duessel needs to dodge the Berserk Staff. That's it, but it's remarkably unreliable because Berserk keeps fucking hitting. Thank God for the deployment order trick, or Cormag would need to dodge Berserk from both druids, and they'd have something like 80 hit each. Bit of a lull here, so I will talk about Renak. That's our new unit we're getting on this map. He's a thief, which we never actually use him for. He has filler combat, which we use him for once. He's actually a res god, but it never does come up for us. The spear that he joins with is honestly more valuable than he is. Joshua does not need to crit this knight, that's just him flexing. Because Seth gets hit by Berserk again, Natasha has to restore him again, which means again she cannot use Mend. This again reduces reliability on the following enemy phase, but it's not too bad. It's nice never having to actually remember to put a vulnerary on Ephraim. Can always just pull one from the convoy. Either La Rochelle or Duessel could rescue Ephraim here to give to Cormag. La Rochelle's actually optimal though because she can heal Cormag when she gives. I don't end up moving Duessel for the rest of the map, so maybe he could have gotten berserked, but he would absolutely just destroy Tethys if he did. Yet again, someone has to clear the way so Natasha doesn't die. In this case, it's Joshua. Cormag drops Ephraim here instead of closer to the boss so that he can't be blocked by a single enemy. And then he equips the short spear and moves up to enemy phase Vigard. Unfortunately, even with 4 full moves, he is 1 tile short of fighting Vigard head on. He would have needed a dance for that. This is the one time that I use unlock in the entire game. Moulder just spent 1500 gold to open a single door. More honestly, he spent 1500 gold for 5 staff XP. And I would have loved to use unlock more because it does give 5 staff XP, but there's just not many doors in Sacred Stones. I don't need to dodge Berserk anymore, but I have to do this long rig because Vigard sucks my entire ass. And Gerik attacks this knight just to get C axes. So Vigard is why I wish I had given Cormag the secret book, both for improved hit rates, and so I could just 1% crit him on player phase. As is, Cormag has exactly 10 crit to his 10 luck, so I have to do something ugly. I have to double hit here with the short spear at 28 displayed hit. And remember, this is with S lances. Because Seth is so chipped, he has to dodge this Luna Shaman. Fortunately, it's Luna, so it's very dodgeable. I am fine with Seth and Duessel both getting berserked here, so of course now is when they decide that they can dodge without being rigged. Here's where the chest key that I bought earlier comes in. Forde is able to get the Angelic Robe, and Gerik is able to get the Guiding Ring. That's the last Guiding Ring I'm grabbing in the playthrough, so... I remember saying in Chapter 5, guess where I get one? That was here. Moulder hits A Staves, that's hugely important. This frees up a deployment slot in Chapter 15, and it's the entire reason Moulder went south while Natasha went north, so we could get 2 extra staff XP from Unlock. Now for the rest of my boss strategy. Cormag gets a 6% Heavy Lance Pierce at 38 displayed hit for exact damage on Vigard. I wish I could just Heavy Lance or Heavy Spear crit him 1%, but I used the secret book too early. And that is Chapter 14 completed in 5 turns. Now we get some Sacred Regalia. Glepnir sucks. Garm is good. Thanks for watching.